everyone. Special thanks to my friend and colleague, Rabbi Cohen. As we meet tonight and share words and prayers and thoughts and questions in our hearts, may we have a memorial moment in honor and memory of George Floyd and all the others who have died at the hands of lynchers, murderers, slave holders, innocent ones who came under the brutality of executions without guilt, imprisonment without just conviction, suffering without having committed anything that would invite such brutality, except for being human, of a different color, a different faith, a different nationality, a different name and pronunciation. As we remember them, may we also recommit ourselves, in the words of the poet that I often quote, "Let me die working, still tackling plans unfinished, tasks undone. Swift to its end may my race be run. No laggard steps, no fumbling. Let me die working." Yes, and still in the words and thought and mind of another poet who said, to seek, to find, and not to yield. And those unforgettable words, often quoted by the late Robert Kennedy, "Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world." We gather this evening in that kind of spirit. And we are reminded of a moment in the life of Jesus when an individual came to him wanting an argument without commitment. He wanted, I think, a debate without duty. And he raised a question, and Jesus answered the question with a lifetime assignment, an assignment that was unexpected and no doubt unwanted. When he raised the question, you could say a profound question: what must I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus said to him, do what is written. Love the Lord with all your heart and with all your strength and all your heart and all your soul. Love God with your mind, with your heart, with your strength, and with all of your inner being. Love God with all of your intellect. Love God with all of your energy, with all of your physical energy. Love God with all of your soul, with all of your breath. Love God, and love God with all of your heart and your neighbor as yourself. Love God with, not with emptiness, not with platitudes, not with repetitive creeds, not with ceremony, although ceremonial performances can be beautiful and inspiring. But give God all. But that is not complete unless you can love your neighbor as yourself. And when you do that, you become what I like to call transformational idealists and creative realists. You can transform and you can create. So we are called upon in every age to be transformers, to be transformational in our commitments and creative in our life's work. That is not and should not be an easy assignment, but it's a necessary assignment. Love God with all of your being, with all of your emotions, with all of your imagination, with all of your creativity, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, this is an assignment, and the assignment can become, and I think should become, a commitment. And the commitment ought to be a continuing performance of purpose as long as there is breath in our bodies. Dr. Howard Thurman, who was and remains a great influence in my life and many others, said that hate arises in a circumstance where there is contact without fellowship. Contact without fellowship. And this contact without fellowship breeds suspicion. And the suspicion breeds fear. And the fear breeds resentment. And the fear and the resentment combined will breed hatred. And when that is planted in the body and mind and soul and spirit and heart of an individual, you have a human being walking around with all of this. And that means an individual or groups of individuals or even a nation or even a government walking around with hatred. And if the government has practiced for decades and centuries putting its knee on other people's necks, it becomes relatively easy for an individual to put his knee on someone else's neck until that person can no longer breathe, and being unable to breathe for 8 minutes and 47 seconds, we then have a dead body and a bloody nation. All of this is possible when we do not love our neighbor as we love ourselves, when we have not been taught or when we have refused to learn how to be transformational idealists and creative realists. The two need not be in conflict. This is our assignment. But not only that, this does not come automatically. It must be taught from day to day, from year to year, from boardroom to living room to classroom to classroom, and from assemblies to the wider spaces of life. When it is taught authentically, properly, and repetitively, we create disciples of truth and disciples of love. And those disciples of love and truth, united, can become an army of faith, hope, love, creativity, and yea, even a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This requirement leads then to a life of commitment and relationships and relationship building. One of my professors in college taught us by going in those days to the chalkboard. That's an ancient term now. And writing at the top, God. And just under that, human beings, humans, humanity, people, persons, all on the same line. God, persons. And at the bottom, things. And then he said to us, whenever this order of being is out of order, dangerous and difficult things take place. If you put human beings at the top, you get a strange kind of humanism. And that kind of humanism is like a cut flower. It might be beautiful in the morning, but as the sun rises and the heat comes on, it withers at noonday, and it droops in the afternoon, and it dies at sunset. And he said, if you put things at the top, we become worshipers of things, materialism, systems, and class, and all of the other attendant evils. God, humanity, things. Where is our order? And why are we out of order in terms of the creative process? But when that order is structured properly, and we love God with all our heart, with all our strength, with all our mind, with all our soul, and with all of our intellect, with all of our emotions, and our neighbor as ourselves, as we love ourselves, the order of being is properly in order, and we can rise up and walk. And as one of the late outstanding African American women of my denomination, Nanny Helen Burris, said, "You're not properly climbing unless you are lifting as you climb." Someone has raised the question, what would have happened in Minneapolis if a certain individual had taken a knee like the football player? Not even a sparrow would have fallen to the ground. God, humanity, God, brothers and sisters, God, my neighbor, your neighbor, our neighbors, God, humanity, and things, and then we can rise up.